somebody to tell somebody it's gonna be off the chains. It's Bouqui'S place. Sit back, kick back, relax, take your shoes off.
What's
Yo!
up? What's up?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I am chilling. How are you?
Great, great. I'm doing great.
Obviously, you are my special guest today. And you know why this is particularly exciting for me? Because I cannot mention my story without you, Eldee. You know that. You know that. And I'm like, whoa, this is very, very interesting for me. Welcome to Bouqui'S Place. Listen, Eldee, we don't talk about awards. We don't talk about accolades. We talk about the journey. We talk about the things that got you up when you were down. We talk about practical tools that I can use to become someone in life, because in this age where there's so much comparison, there's so much, everything is just crazy. People are comparing their journey. People are upset. People are angry. People lost their jobs. People found their identities in their jobs for so long. Now it's ripped from them. They don't know who they are. They don't know where to begin from. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about things that, can get us out from this kind of,
The things that matter. The things that matter. Yeah, absolutely.
The things that matter, man.
First of all, I want to say that my story is not complete without you because most people don't know this, but there are a lot of people that I met along my journey that actually really inspired me in ways that they don't even understand. And you were definitely one of those people because at the time that we met, what we did out of pure passion, right?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, just seeing other people that were equally as passionate and wanting to do things just out of pure passion and love and seeing like a big picture and understanding that we're in an environment where we weren't given much, but we had to create stuff, right? And being able to just apply yourself and push and continue to strive until we got to where we are now was very helpful for me as well because I had these big dreams, right? And a lot of times I used to ask myself, are you crazy for thinking this big? But then seeing folks such as yourself on that journey who also had a similar vision and were also pushing the way that I was actually part of what encouraged me. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, Eldee, thank you so much. I mean, I remember I had dreams in my head. I was an undergraduate of IFE. I had no point of reference. I just had this dream in my head. And people used to think I was crazy. I did sciences all my life. I was supposed to be a medical doctor, but I just loved rapping. And my dad hated, that's another tangent, so I never saw it until I came to Lagos and I met you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually real. And you are on another level. I remember the first Eldee Tribesman studio session. It was off the chains. I was like, it can happen. I'm not crazy for thinking this big. It can actually happen. So namaste to you too. Thank you.
Thank you to you too. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so my story cannot be complete without you. Now you're telling me your story cannot be complete without me. I'm happy for that. That is amazing. Absolutely. You don't know how much.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna start from the very beginning. How did you get into this? What you just said that you had pictures in your head. So how did it happen? Because I know you came from the north. Tell us the journey. Just walk us through it.
So basically, early on in my life, I realized that I had creative skills. I was able to learn things very fast, and I was also able to apply myself in creative ways. So initially, I started off as a really young kid, really loving music and dancing, right? My mom had a friend who was a DJ when I was, I think, like 3 or 4, who, because she worked at the bank, she used to drop me off at his place to kind of like just, while away time until she got off of work. But she would get off of work at 5:30. What am I saying? 7. She worked at a bank. And so when I left school, daycare really, I would go back and I would hang out with this DJ friend of ours, right? And he used to do mixtapes. So he had, a setup in his house where he had LPs and he was making mixtapes for people. So that exposed me very early on to genres, like multiple genres of music. So country music, rock and roll, R&B, Well, at the time, it was R&B. It was more like just soul music, very early hip hop and things like that. So I picked it up from there. And, I started learning to dance like every other kid my age at the time. Michael Jackson was like the icon of the time. So I was doing a lot of Michael Jackson dances and whatnot. And I think that, I had a mom who was very supportive, still is. And she allowed me to be creative. She allowed me to express however I wanted to express. I went from dancing to actually doing comic books, which a lot of people don't know this, but I did comic books when I was younger. I mean, I actually had stories drawn out, painted, everything, right? And then from there, when I got to secondary school, I went to Essence International, which is a school in Kaduna. And Essence was really, for all intents, an American school, right? It was like a feeder school into like the American high school, college system. So anyway, because of that, and also because we had early exposure to a lot of Western influences, and Kaduna was actually, I mean, people don't know this as well, Kaduna was actually the very first place where there was satellite TV. There was a company called ABG, and ABG was the first to actually bring in satellite TVs into the country. So as far back as like the 80s, we already had access. Like I saw like the first couple of episodes of like YoMTV Raps, for example. Whoa. So I grew up really like following and learning about hip hop, and then also seeing the journey of hip hop, right? And experiencing that early, creating a movement, forming groups, setting up a label, getting signed, touring, and things like that. And I was really fascinated by that. And I think that that's really where most of my influence came from wanting to do music, right? And then also being in the school that I was, there were a lot of kids who had either come back from America or lived in America or just had a lot of that Western influence as well. So, lunchtime, there would be beatboxing, there was basketball, there was skateboarding. I grew up, when I think of my childhood, it was fun, a lot of fun. So because of that, I started to pick up on those skills. There was AT and a couple other people. Just to cut the story short, I picked up those skills from being in that environment. And then when I moved to Lagos, I was actually, like everybody else in my school at the time, supposed to go abroad to whatever school that I was being fed into at the time. And at the time, I guess what I wanted to do was to go to MIT, right? And everything was already lined up and I was ready to go. But my dad stepped in and basically said, no, my friend, you're going to Lagos. You're going to go to Lagos and you're going to go to Mumbai. And it's crazy. I didn't even have University of Lagos in my jam or anything like that when I did the exam. Matter of fact, when I did jam, I did it just for fun. Like it was like one of those, hey, I'll just do it just because. Thankfully, I did. Otherwise, I would have sat at home for a year. So he basically took my results and he took me to Unilag and he enrolled me at Unilag. And I joined architecture college in Unilag. And while I was there, Unilag was very rough for me. I grew up in the north. I was very ajabota as a kid. So coming into an environment like that, it was very rough for me. And I needed an outlet, right? And really the only outlet that I had at the time was music. And thankfully, someone else that I went to school with, his dad also kind of chose the same path of him coming to University of Lagos. So he was the only person that I knew. And this was KB, right? KB. We went to school together and we were already doing those things. So, and he also happened to be in the same hall as me, the same dorms as me at Unilag. We're in the same hallway. So, it was very easy for us to exchange demos and start like writing stuff and doing everything. So that's really the very beginning of it. And then we met freestyle. And then all of those dreams and all the influence that I had from being exposed to all of the early hip hop and the movements and everything was really kind of what built that vision for me. And I thought, wait a second, there is a way, right? Definitely to create something out of nothing. Because I believed that with all the challenges that African Americans faced in the US, they were able to conquer with hip hop. And I thought that with the challenges that we had in Nigeria as well, that we would be able to do something that was quite significant. And also I wanted it to be original, because that was one thing that I learned from hip hop was there was something about the originality of it. There was something about not copying, but creating. There was something about expression in a way that is raw and natural rather than aligning with some conformity norms or something like that. So it really helped. And then also something else, another nugget is I actually learned to speak Pidgin when I moved to Lagos. I couldn't even speak Pidgin. So I was excited about Pidgin. And to me, I felt like, yo, I can put this in the rap. And then that would make it like truly original and truly Nigerian. So that was really, I know this is like a long-winded answer, but that was really kind of like
that's fine. Take your time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the beginning for me. Yeah.
Wow. So when I met you, when I had a picture in my head in Ife, my dad was a professor of biochemistry, so I had a picture in my head. I can do this. And nothing external on the outside showed that I could, And then I came to Lagos. And the first person I didn't come to Lagos. I came on holiday. It wasn't like, the first person I met was you, and then Freestyle brought me, and then we started talking. And I remember you said, what's the rap or something like that. This was 99, 98 or something. You said I rap. I remember the rap like yesterday. I was like reminiscing on the birthday happenings in my life. You were like, okay, I heard what I want to hear. And, it just mirrored to me. And, there's a law. If you're exposed to it and it doesn't do anything to you, it's probably not for you. A lot of people want to do a lot of things, but when it doesn't resonate, they should know that this is not for me. Because now that we're on this lockdown, everybody's trying to do what everybody else is doing. And there's no ease, there's no grace. They just want to do it because everybody's doing it. I want you to tell us one time in your life when Tribesmen started and, all that. One time that really made you second guess this whole music thing. Like it could be a double-edged sword. It made you second guess that, you know what? I don't think this is for me.
Wow, that's a really good question. And it's very hard for me to find one of those because my motivation comes from within, right? I'm lucky, really blessed to have grown up having a mind of my own and not necessarily doing things because people thought it was cool, but doing it because I believed in it. So a lot of the things that we're doing was really going against the grain. So I felt like I had to prove. So every time I came across an obstacle, to me it was a challenge. I never thought of it as, oh, you know what, maybe this isn't going to work. I felt, oh, really? That's what it is?
Bring it on.
Bring it on. And I'll give you examples of those kinds of challenges. So the first one was, how do we create our own music, right? Because when we started, all we had was instrumentals. I would go to a DJ shop and we'll get instrumentals and we'll try to record some stuff. But how do we create our own music? When I was in high school, I had a friend, Biz Wiz, he's actually on Instagram. He is the CEO of Ariwa Beats today, right? We went to school together. He was one of the biggest influences really me in getting into music because he bought a keyboard and he had a drum machine. And I remember that, we were able to kind of create something. It wasn't anything, great, but we created stuff, right? So I thought, we have to find a way to create our own music. So that was a challenge for me. And I started trying to figure out ways to do it. So I started trying to find out, how do we do it? How do we get a cassette and record into another one? Do I need a double cassette deck? What do I need to create? And soon after that, we got software and I started teaching myself software and then, got through that and we started creating our own music. Another one that happened was we needed to shoot videos. Videos were really expensive to shoot back then and there were very few people who could actually direct. So now I had to learn to direct the videos because nobody around could actually shoot the kind of videos that I wanted the way that I wanted. So learn to shoot videos, learn to edit the videos, learn to do the artwork. I already kind of had like some artistic skills. Obviously I was in architecture and I used to do comics. So it was very easy to just bring all of that stuff together. So I can't remember like a specific time where I felt like, you know what, maybe I need to quit. I don't think that quitting was ever an option. I always saw every challenge as an opportunity to do something and create something. Next thing that came was distribution, right? How do we get this music out there? And I knew that there had to be a way. all that I learned from hip hop, watching early hip hop, was people used to sell music out of the trunk of their cars. I started selling music out of the trunk of my car because I thought, oh, this is an avenue. But then we started to see those guys who hawk the tapes around, and I thought, I need to find out how those guys are doing it, right? And then let's see if we can leverage that. And that's what became Alaba. You know what I'm saying? So to me, a challenge is an opportunity, not a reason to stop. And I think that can be overstated because a lot of people want to do things, and because we're used to saying, maybe this is something that maybe I should, then you give up. And this is the reason why only about 1% of people who actually get out there become successful, because it takes resilience, it takes focus, it takes a lot of passion, and it takes a lot of belief in yourself and in a higher creator as well, that if I apply myself to this thing, it will happen. And that's always been my mindset. And that's my mindset today. Like whatever challenges, obstacles I come across is an opportunity for me.
Wow. So give me the liberty to rephrase your answer. You already said it, but let me rephrase your answer. Those things came to you. It wasn't like it didn't come to you. Like it comes to everybody. That time you second guess, that time you meet an impediment that tries to stop you, it actually did come to you. But you decided to see better. You decided to move the other way because there's someone right now that's not willing to pay the price, do the work of what it takes to become. And, they're saying, yeah, but my daddy didn't do this, my mom didn't do this, So you're saying that, listen, you have to be resilient. You have to, those things came to you. You have to be hardworking. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be creative. If this doesn't work, how do I go about it? So, man, I'm learning. I remember the first CD. I used to go back in the day, we used to go to the studio, but the first CD, because my brother is an engineer and everything, the first CD I ever had my name on was Tribesman CD. Because I remember in the studio, we went to...
what was it? Goldmine? Was it Goldmine?
No, that wasn't Goldmine. The one in Surulere. Now we do this rapping. Guys, if you don't know, I was on that chorus. Now we do this rapping. Tribesman. I got that now for a rock up. So I think you guys actually gave me the name Bouqui'S Small.
We did.
Remember? So it was Bouqui'S Smalls till, it evolved, But I want you to tell us, speak to some of the kids that are watching right now that want to do music. They want to do these things they see, but they're not willing to pay the price. They want microwave. It's a microwave generation, right? So they want microwave this, microwave that, fast food joint. How? Tell us, just speak to us like we have a dream in our heads and where we want to do it. How do we get up from where we are, that we have nothing? How do we get up and do it?
I think it takes a lot of focus on the right thing, right? And I don't know that I really that I thought this out. I think it just came to me intuitively, or that I was just blessed to have that mindset. But the focus, a lot of times when people try to do things that I'm seeing right now, is money. When the focus is money, when you set out to make money, you're likely not to make money. You have the wrong focus. What you should be setting out to do is to be the best at what you do, and money will come, right? The reason why Apple is Apple is because they're the best at what they do. The reason why Facebook is Facebook or Instagram is Instagram is because they're the best at what they do, not because they're just another one. There's so many other platforms that we could be doing this on, but we're doing it on Instagram because Instagram is the best at what they do. You see what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of focus being on, how much money can I make? What if I do it this way, then I can make money, is really what throws people off. You can never become an outlier if your focus is money. It takes a lot of practice to become an outlier. It takes a lot of passion. It takes a lot of resilience. It takes a lot of, you said earlier, seeing challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, right? To be able to really apply yourself. It may take 10 years to get to that point, and that is perfectly okay. This is what I say to many artists, especially some of the alternative music artists. I tell them, I say, listen, the fact that you're doing music that you feel is not mainstream music doesn't mean that the music that you're doing doesn't have an audience. There is an audience out there for any kind of music that you make, right? So stay true to what it is that you want to do rather than what you think you should be doing based on some of the things that you're seeing. Because some of the people that you see, when people look at artists like, for example, Wizkid, right? You look at Wizkid, I saw Wizkid really start from the very beginning, from getting signed to Banky, to the first couple of tours. The first time he actually performed on the big stage was on my set. You know what I mean? With Banky. So seeing him go from where he was to where he is right now, I can tell you for a fact that his motivation in the very beginning was his passion for music and excellence at doing music. The same thing goes for artists like Davido. Maybe not as close to Davido, but I could tell from my interaction with him that this is beyond. Davido's okay. He doesn't need money. Yeah. He's doing this out of pure passion and out of love. And I feel like a lot of the people who have been successful, Tim Maya is another example. They say, oh yeah, the Plantain Boy, but he didn't do music because, oh man, this might be my way out of the thing. Music from a place and position of passion. And I think that that's what's missing today with a lot of folks. Make sure that your focus is not money, but on excellence at what it is that you do.
Amen to that. So my brother, who actually started rapping, that made me want to rap, GDMMJ, just asked this question. Tell us about the sacrifices, the pain and stuff you gave up, the things that happened to you.
Sacrifices. I had to sacrifice my allowance for studio sessions. My girlfriend then, who's my wife now, had to sacrifice her allowance for studio sessions. My mom, who for all intents at the time was doing okay, but we weren't like super rich or anything. We were average, right? She sacrificed a lot as well. I mean, my mom bought me 4,000 pounds worth of recording equipment. Nobody, I mean, at the time, that's not something that, you know, happens easily. It's like asking your mom to put up, I don't know, maybe 40,000 pounds right now in terms of value of the money at the time. So those are the kind of sacrifices that people have to put up, right? To be able to, for us to get to where we are right now. Some of the pains that I had was acceptance, because obviously people are telling my mom, why are you letting your son do this kind of thing? Eh? This music thing is not the right thing to do. Why don't you let him focus on his study? Blah, 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 blah. And she was resilient too. She said, well, as far as I'm concerned, he's good at what he does. He's good with his education. I don't think he suffered in those areas. So I don't see why I shouldn't support my child's passion and what he wants to do. So those are a lot of the kind of sacrifices that we had to, you know, make. And speaking of pain, getting people to believe was very difficult. There were a few folks such as yourself who actually saw it and understood it and had similar passion, but there were way more people who didn't believe and who thought that we were just wasting our time. And having to deal with that sometimes, it causes you to question yourself. Am I sane? Am I doing the right thing? Does this make sense? But then again, going back to just having that purpose and believing in it and having a passion for it and trying to be the best at it is really kind of what keeps things going.
So it's really all starts from the inside out. It's never from the outside in. Oh, I need a mentor. I need a mentor to encourage me. I need what a mentor does for you is channel your passion in the right track. You cannot ask a mentor to give to you. You know, we always talk about this on this show. There are so many people right now, they have this mentality. Entitlement mentality. Oh, I saw you at a show. I saw you at this. Do this for me. Give me this. Introduce me to this. And I look at it and I'm like, you are not even ready to do the work. You know? Right. So we're talking about pain, right? I want you to give us one time that you couldn't sleep. No, Eldee, let us be raw. You know?
Hey, what? There are many times that I couldn't sleep. Many times that I couldn't sleep. Okay, speaking of pain, I'm trying to find like when things started going sideways with Tribesmen, that gave me a lot of heartburn because it felt like the train that we had managed to put a bunch of coaches on was about to be derailed because of whatever
Is
the
that
reason.
Dolly?
No, it's not. That's actually Sammy, my cousin. Trich
Okay.
1919, yeah.
Okay.
But there were times when it was heartbreaking because I figured.
Someone said you slept in the car.
Oh, I slept in the car many times. I got bit
That's
by
what we want to
mosquitoes.
hear. The grit. This is what we want to hear.
Okay. All right. So I mean, being that specific, obviously there were times when we had to sleep in the studio. I didn't have to sleep in the studio, but I did it because that was the only way we could get some of the stuff that we did done. I was still in school. I was studying architecture. A lot of people don't know that I was still a student of architecture, which if you understand what that's like in Nigeria, that is a lot of work, a lot of hours in class. So after going through that, I would leave and then go to the studio and then sleep on the floor in the studio on a mat on the floor, hard concrete floor, okay, and have to deal with mosquitoes. Sometimes we then go into the car, then we sleep in the car and then run the engine so we can have air conditioning because maybe the power went out. There were so many situations like that. And it's a little bit fuzzy to me when we talk about like the specifics of it, but I can tell you that it's nothing compared to how people are living today. I was in the University of Lagos. I was staying in a BQ, which at the time was considered to be, upscale. But the reality of it is that if you go back to those BQs now and see how we were living, oh my goodness, like we were living like we were in slow mode. we were in slow mode. And those are a lot of the challenges and sacrifices growing up in Nigeria they have to deal with, and again the pressures of the society, and just having to contend with all of that. So I don't know if there's any other specifics that
Don't
we can
worry,
talk
be
about.
thinking
But
about it.
yeah, but there's plenty of challenges that you have to go deal with and go through.
Yeah. Okay. So, when we started, right? It was a new thing. There was no music industry. It was a new thing. We were trying to chart a course. It was just like pioneering something. Meanwhile, if you're just joining, this is Eldee. There would be I say that as an authority. There will be no music industry without Eldee the gun. Eldee, I'm not gassing you up. I'm serious. There was no music industry. We just started. Do you understand what I'm saying? We just had the passion for it. And then you introduced me to Rugged Man. It was just, us doing it, So I want you to tell us one time that you probably went to a promoter or a specific example where you went to maybe a record label, a radio station or something, and they turned you and they made you think, dang, like, really? When you go like you're Superman, I'm all that, I'm a rapper, and they just, my friend, go outside and stay.
So let me tell you one. I remember one like yesterday. Actually, we went to all the record labels that existed at the time. We went to Premier Records, we went to Sony Music, we went to every record label that existed at the time, and we got turned down. And that's the reason why we started Tribe Records. That's the reason I figured, you know what, we can do this ourselves, right? So to speak of a specific one, I met with Eddie Lomani. Eddie Lomani was a promoter. He's been a promoter since back then. And I went up to him and I said, hey, you know what, I have this group and we're trying to promote our music and blah, blah, blah. And there was a gentleman in his office, I forget his name right now, who was like the manager, right? And Eddie basically said, Eddie was a busy guy. He basically said, yeah, go talk to this guy and, play him your music and, let me know what he thinks. And when I played the music, we played Shake Body and Travel Marks, right? And he listened to Shake Body and Travel Marks and he said, hey, what was your name again? And so my name is Eldee. He said, this music you people are making, it's not going to work because, if you want to do something that people will like, you have to do something like reggae, something like, like Iraskimo, or I forget what the Mandato. So, this and that and the other. And I said, obviously this guy has no clue, what's going on. And I didn't allow that to dampen my spirit. I mean, I can't even lie. I felt bad because I thought that we were going to make him happy. But I figured, yeah, he just doesn't understand it. And I wasn't upset at him. I just thought, yeah, one day he will understand it. And the interesting thing is, about a year later, when everything kind of blew up, he was the same guy calling him and saying, hey, Sonya, please, we want you to come and do this performance. And then I reminded him, I was like, bros, do you remember me? Like, and then he said, I don't remember. I said, yeah, I remember the words that you said to me. The words you said to me was, why don't you do something like reggae? And he said, hey, don't worry, just forget it.
Don't worry, I want to say,
let's come and do this show or whatever. So yeah. And there were lots of those. Sony music. I went to Sony. It was on I think it was in Ikeja and GRA. I forget the name of the street now. Oh my god, I'm losing my. But anyway, it was in Ikeja. It was in GRA. Went to the office. The security man, the Megad, basically had us wait outside for like 2 hours. Oga, no one see anybody right now. God bless. And I thought,
they can be extra.
Hey, listen, I was like, you know what? I will wait because that Oga, as long as the Oga is inside, she must come out. And it was a lady that ran the company at the time. I said she must come out and I must talk to her. When the guy realized that we weren't going to leave, he finally went in and said, oh, these young boys, blah, blah, blah. And then they let us in there, played the music. This woman, bless her heart, knew nothing about music. I think she just got handed the keys to the office because Sony had already left Nigeria and she was just maybe one of the secretaries that happened to be there. So she said, so what do you want us to do for you again? Okay, just, we want to get signed, we need a record deal. It's just, I don't think there's anything we can do for you.
I don't think it. I didn't understand this music.
Yeah, these people are saying, I don't know, sure. But anyway, those were the things that actually motivated us, me in particular, to say, why are we trying to get signed? Why don't we go independent? There were so many of the artists that I was studying back then that started their own labels and then got distribution deals. So I was like, yeah, we can do that too. I mean, the one thing that also gave validation was the fact that whenever we played our music to students on the campus, they loved it. So we knew that there was an audience for it.
Yeah.
We just didn't know how to get across to like the bigger audience. So yeah.
Wow. This is so funny because I remember after I did my first single, I went to NTA Morning Dawn with Fumi. What's that Dawn? Something with Fumi on that 2001. 2000. And God bless his soul, Sonya Okosum. He saw me, green screen, how the backstage, the green room and everything. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm a female rapper. He said, what? I said, I'm a female rapper. He said, so why is because he was in the green room and I was on TV. So he said, but what's your name? I said, Bouqui'S. He said, so why did you write Bouqui'S? I said, I'm just, trying to. He said, it's not good, oh. It's not good. It will confuse people that once a brand is confused like that, you don't want to, you say you're a female, as in you rap. He said the men don't even have audience. How will you now have audience? But you see, this is not my story. This is your story, and there's so many questions coming in. They said, did you work with Chocolate City?
No, I did not work with Chocolate City. I did work with MI. At some point, we did some music together. I didn't get a chance to work with Ice Prince, I don't think. I think we've been on records together, but we didn't actually work directly together. But they're all my friends. They're all people who I believe strongly in their conviction as well to wanting to really take this to that next level. And they came probably like 2 generations, after Tribesmen. And I believe that they were also some of the movers of that next, because I feel like in this game, it's a bit of a relay, right? As far as the movement is concerned, right? Some people start something and then the baton gets handed over to somebody else who takes it to that next level. And I feel like when Chocolate City came in, they definitely elevated the game, and taken it to that next level so that the artists that are coming behind them were able to have a platform that they could then leverage. So I definitely appreciate, Audu and MI and Jesse and all of them and everything that they did as well, because people didn't give a lot of credit to the fact that most of the rappers, the early rappers, most of them came from the North, right? And I think that the fact that Chocolate City was able to constantly reiterate that, help people acknowledge Northern Nigeria when it comes to hip hop,
Yeah.
and the fact that really 80%, I would say, almost came from the North initially, until recently. So, yeah, shout out to Chocolate City.
Shout out to Chocolate City. Actually, my inner circle, they call me Jeeva, like Jeeva. And if you know how it came about, one time Eldee was talking to me. So my friend came and said G Vibes, because I was in the group G Vibes. So he said, what did you call her? He said, what did you call her? Jeeva. That's how everybody started calling me Jeeva. So that name comes because of Eldee. Anyway, so now that we are talking about your music, I want you to talk about that comeback. You left for like 10 years. What made you come back?
So, leaving was a thing that I had to do at the time because I felt like I had peaked, being in Nigeria and kind of what my next level was from where I was, right? So I felt like I needed to go somewhere where I could learn and gather the skills that would help me get to that next level, right? And the next level was basically shooting better videos, mixing and mastering better, really understanding how the music industry works, right? So that we can leverage that knowledge back in Nigeria. So that was kind of part of my initial motivation when I left. And that's kind of what I brought back when I went back, to Nigeria. Not that I didn't make music during the time when I was away. I was making music. I mean, Leon came out while I was in the US. Most people don't know Champion came out while I was in the US. I was already in the US when I did I'm Leaving. I was already in the US when matter of fact, even Big Boy Bossy Bang, all of that stuff was recorded before I actually made the return.
Oh, really?
But yeah. So the Bossy Bang Big Boy time was when I finally figured out, okay, from a music video standpoint, we can make videos that's just as good as the music videos that are being made in the States, and we can definitely compete, right? Mm-hmm. So that was kind of my re-entry. And most people don't realize this, or maybe no one's ever heard this before, but Bossy Bang was actually the very first music video that was shot on a red camera. Period. Not Nigerian. Period. Okay. And the reason that happened was because there's a studio in Atlanta called Spitfire, right? And Spitfire had a relationship with the company that makes the red camera. So the camera we actually used to shoot the video didn't even have a casing on it. It was like this little gizmo, and it had like 4 rods around it, and they were just like beta testing it to see kind of how it would, it would come out with the picture. And it was like a digital way to shoot for film, right? So that's the reason why the quality of the video, and I feel like that video, even though we don't get enough credit, was the very beginning of people thinking, oh, wait a second, we have to shoot way better videos. How can my video look like that video? And to me, I feel like that's one of the ways that we were able to move the culture forward. Also, from a mixing and mastering standpoint, Return of the King, I dare say, was the very first album made by a Nigerian that was mixed and mastered at a level.
What is that behind you? What are those things running behind you?
Cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just changed my skin a little bit.
I thought I saw a wolf.
No, not a wolf. It's cars.
Okay.
It's cars.
Go ahead.
But yeah, so a lot of the advancements that we made were off of the knowledge that I was able to acquire from being in studios, in the US. When I was in the US, people don't know this because I'm just one of those who I really hate to mention some of these things because it feels like you're trying to brag or trying to, but I worked with some of the biggest names in the industry at the time. Like I worked for a little bit with Daz from Dog Pound, worked a little bit with, not worked, but really spent a lot of time at Stankonia, which is Outcast Studios here in Atlanta, trying to really understand technicalities of mixing, mastering, and things like that. And a lot of that knowledge was what I was able to leverage in 2006, 2007, to make the music that I was making. And many of the producers who are actually, in Nigeria, mixing, mastering, doing all of that stuff, actually got a lot of their software equipment and things like that from the knowledge that I was able to bring back. So I feel like that in itself also helped to advance it. So sometimes when people think about, you know, what it is that you're doing and how you're contributing, you have to attribute all of that experience as well. The fact that you had someone like Davido doing what he's doing, having lived in America and having had the experience and having had the exposure to some of the stuff and being able to leverage it when he brings it back to Nigeria is really part of the things that help to advance the culture. So by leaving and coming back was, what did they say about Agbo to Tadime? There you go. So that's pretty much what that was.
That means, what's Agbo? The
Agbo is the
ram that reversed to collect power.
The ram went back up. He went back to go and gather power because it's coming back to come bring you all. Yeah.
Yeah. Eldee, I want you to be vulnerable right now. These are the things that make Bouqui'S place. What do you feel about not getting enough credit?
If I was in it for credit, I will feel some type of way. But I was never in it for credit. So I don't feel any type of way. And I don't also feel the need to, I feel the need to tell history, but I don't feel the need to ask for credit because that wasn't really my intention. My intention was to help move the culture forward, and the culture did move forward. So that's enough satisfaction for me. It's very satisfying to see a Burna Boy get nominated for a Grammy. It's very satisfying to see, you know, Davido walk into a studio and Chris Brown get excited. It's very satisfying to see all of the dreams that we had come to fruition. And if you remember correctly, when we were younger, I always had a movement mentality. It was never about me and what I was trying to do. It was about what we as a collective can ultimately do. So my motivation from the beginning was always, how do we create something that is Nigerian, that is African, that is positive, that we get acknowledged for as a collective, not as an individual. So, I mean, many a times, for example, when I think it was Hip Hop World Awards, Big Boy was nominated as Best Collaboration and didn't win. Come on. Of course you get upset about things like that, because can anybody really argue for a bigger record that year? Impossible. Well, bigger collaboration, right? It was impossible, but somebody else won. Yeah, I won't say that I didn't feel some type of way about it, but I also understand that the most important thing is that it was even acknowledged, right? Okay, yeah, you guys put in some effort, so we acknowledge it, so that's enough.
Wow. So I'm seeing people like Lexi do join and all these pioneers. Hey, shout out to Lexi. You know, so I want you to share a moment. You don't have to mention the name of the artist, but a moment that you saw like a younger artist that you were trying to like maybe holler at and say, man, I'm proud of you. And it was like, man, you know, like just chill out. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
They're like just kind of downplay your existence.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Did that happen? Has that actually happened to me?
It's actually hard for you because let me tell you why it's hard for you. Eldee, you've always been about, like you said, movement. You've always been about, you know, handing the baton. I remember the first time we were in the studio, 99, recording your, what's it called? Now Who Do This rapping. I didn't have to be on that song. I was just in the studio, you know, I didn't have to, you just said, Bouquie, let's do the hook together, you know, and I know your mentality. So it's hard for you to see from a different perspective, you know, but I still want you to share something and say that you chose to not see it this way, because the truth is it happens, you know.
It does. So it does happen. And I know that there were times when maybe we go to a show and we're backstage and people were starting to like form into like cliques, and maybe there was a certain group that felt like, oh, we're better than them, or oh, these old guys need to step out the way, or you know what I'm saying, and they would act a certain way. And I don't remember like specific instances because I don't even try to keep those kind of thoughts in my mind, right? But that definitely happens.
Someone said, come on, Eldee, spill something. To give us a little something.
You know, there really, you know, to be honest, there really isn't much to spill because, so I think I'm having challenges with remembering that because I don't even.
You don't store it.
I don't store that kind of, because I feel like this person is naive and it's the reason why they're acting the way they're acting. So I blow it off right away and I just kind of keep it moving. And also, again, if my motivation is respect, then it would hurt me and then I would feel a certain way. But if my motivation is to see everybody grow, and if you feel like you're growing and you're growing better than me, and that gives you the right to act a certain way, you know what I'm saying, be disrespectful, that's totally okay because it's out of your life.
Yeah.
It's like I said in one of my things is like people are eating, they don't even know where the food came from, right? So I have confidence in my contribution to not allow, you know, disrespect from a younger artist or a younger person or an inexperienced person or someone who doesn't know how they even came about the whole situation, you know, to even affect me at all.
Wow. So now the lesson we can learn from this, because this place, Bouqui'S Place, is about lessons. It's about nuggets. It's about principles, values, things that we can imbibe from your story to make us better. So what you're saying now is focus. Let your motivation be different. Let your purpose drive you. Let your passion, you know, be the gas. Don't do it for, number one, the accolades. Because if you were doing it for the accolades, you will be so upset right now, you know, and all that stuff. Yeah, but your motivation was right. Your intentions were pure, and you wanted everybody to grow. I see a few people now, like I look, you know, I just see some artists and they're fighting over, I was in the studio, you stole my song, I was the one who did the lyric, and then I hummed this, I want credit, and they're on social media fighting about you didn't give me credit for humming this part of the doo-doo-doo-doo, and I'm like, yo, you know, and I'm like, man, y'all need to chill. So you're giving us practical tools that we can use now. So guys, if you're doing anything, whatever it is you're doing, make sure that it is what you want to do. Let your drive be right. Whatever sphere, whatever part of the world you are, whatever kind of industry you find yourself, let your motivation be right. Let your integrity protect you, you know, because these things come to us, but you choose to see differently, right? And it is amazing. It is amazing. So when you came back and Big Boy blew up, how did you feel?
At the risk of sounding overconfident.
You knew it was going to blow. Oh my God, you're so confident. No, I'm confident.
No, I'm serious. It's weird, but I knew it was. And it was almost like me trying to prove a point to everyone around me at the time about purpose, passion, focus, right? And an understanding of the technicalities of it. Don't forget, I'm coming from the US this time. I learned a lot from being in the US and seeing how people make music in the US. People didn't make music in the US based on, oh, what's popping right now. At least back then they didn't. Maybe now they do a little bit of that. But back then, people just created. And out of all of your creations, you'll find something that you think is exciting enough for you to share with the world, right? And when I created Big Boy, the BPM of Nigerian music was 125. Everything was in high speed. And I said, you know what? I'm going to slow down the tempo. And everyone thought I was crazy. I said, I'm going to make a 78 BPM record, and it's going to be a hit. This is not possible. It's not that. And I said, watch. So I was basically going to slow it down to 78 BPM. And that did not fit the mold of what was popping at the time. Everybody wanted to make high-speed music. I want to be close to you, want to be close. You had to be super fast. It was Terry G. It was a lot of mo hits. It was a lot of just high-paced club music, right? And I said, you know what? We're going to create something. And if you folks remember correctly, at the time Big Boy came out, if you were in the clubs or wherever you are, party, whatever, if a DJ is playing, they couldn't blend it into another record. They had to stop and then play it. So it always had to stop and then that dun, 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 and then it plays, right? And I think the point I'm trying to make, and I think the important thing to note from that was that if something comes from a place of purity,
authenticity,
and authenticity, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to fit the mold. If it's real and it's powerful and you put in the right kind of energy, it can be successful. When I signed Aramide in 2010, was it 2011? I can't remember what year exactly. That was one of the things that people thought I was crazy. Like, why are you signing the alternative artist? Like, how's she gonna blow up? What's gonna happen? She's doing very well today. And the thing I used to say to her is, no, you don't need to change your music because you're part of Tribe Records. That's not what we do here. Here, we believe in authenticity. You have to be authentic to whatever it is that you're doing. Yes, I will have people who make club type music. Yes, I may have people who make, we signed an R&B artist. Do you get what I'm saying? R&B was not a thing in Nigeria. And I wish that we actually had the opportunity to have seen that to fruition, because I really strongly believe in that authentic, coming from within, right? Doing you and being passionate about what it is that makes you, you. And yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Staying true to yourself. Authenticity, guys. Do not copy. I mean, people don't know that it is purpose that preserves. They want to take a Eldee beat. Oh, this was what made Eldee blow up. And they don't see the drive behind Eldee. They just see the fruits. So they don't know the roots, and then they want to get the fruits up. See? They want to get the fruits. They don't know the roots. I'm playing. Like whack MC. I'm playing. I want you to tell us before you go, spill the beans on how and why Tribesmen broke up.
Tribesmen broke up because of misalignment. Misalignment, again, and it's interesting that this whole conversation is about purpose and passion, right? It was misalignment because our hearts weren't in the same place. I was thinking big picture. I was thinking movement. And the other folks on the group probably had different kinds of motivations for being a part of the group, right? And I hate to have to say that it's evident in how things played out, but it's kind of a reminder.
Short term, long term.
Right. That when you think long term, you win. You always win when you think long term. When you think short term, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? Let's make this music. Let's get this money right now. Let's do this right now. Let this be about me right now. It's very, very difficult for you to be ultimately as successful as you should be. And I don't know that I was able to communicate that. And hey, I'm not saying that I don't have my faults. Sometimes us passionate people tend to allow passion to make us emotional sometimes. So I'm not saying that I didn't have things that I did that maybe I could have done a little different. Maybe I could have been a little bit more patient. Maybe I could have spent more time trying to really help people see big picture rather than focus on, what we're doing right now. But it was very tough, dealing with that. And a lot of times when you're in a situation and you realize that, you're driving in one direction and the other folks are driving in another direction, then you won't be able to move too far. And it may cause stagnation, or it may even just cause things to end the way it kind of ended up, being with Tribesmen. But I think the important part is that we're all still friends. We're all still very good. We hang out. I dare say I was Freestyle's best man at his wedding.
Oh, really?
Yes. I was present at KB's proposing to his wife. We have that relationship. We still have a relationship, and we're good friends. And we all think back, we reflect on a lot of the things that happened. We've all come to the point where we've acknowledged, where we may have gone wrong, and we're okay with that. And that's the other thing too, is we accept it as what was supposed to happen, because all of this was written somewhere, right, before it came to pass. So it did happen the way it happened, and we are where we are. I don't know. Maybe Tribesmen could have gone on to become like a huge.
That was gonna be my wrap-up question. Do you think Tribesmen would have gone on to become something much bigger if y'all stayed together?
I think so. I think if we had had an opportunity for 2 more albums, as a matter of fact, I think if we had had an opportunity for that second album, that 1 more, it would have really cemented Tribesmen as far as African hip hop or Nigerian music, or Afro beats or anything like that is concerned. And not having the opportunity to having done that, it hurts when I think about it till this day. However, I feel like I was able to continue to live the dream, even though I wish that we could have done it together. What I mean? Yeah.
Wow. Did you know that there was a City People magazine that had Tribesman, the new rave and something, and they put there with a Tribesman has a female member, Bouqui'S. I wish I
Yes.
kept that. I wish I kept it.
You know what?
I wish
I do remember that. You know, the interesting thing is, at the time, because it was such a everybody come in, everybody's welcome. I think that if we had continued, especially with that second album, I think you actually would have been a part of Tribe. I actually think you would have. There were no, but seriously, because there was you, there was Sasha, there was Blaze, there was Mist, there was Neola. There were so many people who were part of that movement, that early stage, that I feel like if we had had the opportunity, and I hadn't actually left when I did, I think we could have created like really the biggest or most powerful record label in Africa if that had continued. But again, you know, paths led us in different directions. We're here today. We're happy. You're beautiful. You're living well. You know, I'm living well, and everybody's doing great. That's all that matters.
I came to Atlanta. You said you slept up, so you're owing me that lunch.
I do owe you.
Yes.
I do owe you.
Eldee, we have 1 minute. Give us a final word for the people listening, aspiring to become, you know, to become a musician, whatever it is they're trying to do. Give us just one last word.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Don't allow what people think be the motivation for things that you do. Be true to yourself. Do things because you actually want to do those things. Do things because you truly believe in those things. Don't do things because someone thinks, or someone may think, or someone may say. Just be true to yourself. I think that that's missing these days. Is, you know, we're spending too much time trying to project an image that is not real, and sometimes we caught in that lie of we live the lie so much that we become the lie, and you have to yourself, you know.
We stop believing our hype. We stop believing our hype. Wow.
Yeah. Hype where you're not saying our lie from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, be true to yourself.
Humility all the way. Thank you so much, Eldee, man. This is so amazing. I can't believe 1 hour just went by so quick. Thank you so much. Your wealth of knowledge. I mean, you're the first person I met in the industry. It's freestyle you. First people I ever met, and I'm grateful for that. You mirrored something that was in my mind, and forever I'm grateful, because if I didn't see it, it would have been harder, right? So thank you so much for coming to Bouqui'S Place. We love you. Everybody said we love you. We love you, Eldee. And
thank you, everybody. Much love to everyone. Sorry I couldn't respond. I saw some questions, but I was so caught up in this conversation I couldn't really respond to everyone.
Right?
But
I know.
We have an opportunity. I'm always here.
29 seconds remaining. So
much love.
We love you, Eldee. We're rooting for you. Do you think another album is in the offing? You could come back? Are you sure?
I doubt it.
Okay. All right.